for people to stay in,
Yeah.
not to make it as a business.
Yeah.
So you can buy a new house. Some people actually make use of it to buy developments.
All right.
So you can actually buy a brand new development. So when, let's say there's a development,
Yeah.
there's a houses there, that's where you can apply for it. So it's new houses, it can be old houses. Also, if it's a vacant land, just make sure that it's serviced as residential. Because it can happen that you find an area, but then that specific stand is served as a parking for commercial space or for agriculture or farming. You need to make sure that it's serviced for residential purposes.
Having followed these applications, what have been some of the mistakes that people, do you think, could make in this process?
In this process, I think, if you do have a spouse, you need to get it from the government. Christmas doesn't happen twice a year.
Hey, man, you got about to know complain of now. I'm not about paternity test that is wrong. How come I will benefit from what I know? But I hear what you're saying. Very important point as well.
Yes.
But just looking at into the contents, this financial arrangement, who's the brains behind it? Is it similar to the Moikloof, initiative that is a development?
No. Area government.
Area government.
Yeah, so it's actually managed by the Human Settlements in South Africa.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's called Human Settlements, if I'm not mistaken. So it's actually a government.
And this is for everyone.
For everyone. You have to be a South African citizen over the age of 18.
But I remember you did mention that if you're not staying in South Africa, you must be having
a valid permit.
A valid permit.
Yes.
Interesting.
That's also needed.
49 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock, a quick break. When we come back, we continue this lovely discussion with Mr. Mampuru.
012-382-4936. That's 012-382-4936.
Some of the churches, they don't need your qualification. They have nothing to do with your education, Buddhism. Boy, since it was 1909, 1910, long before I was born, Saulo, 1916, Buddhism. 1928, Mandela ba motshwara ba boya Saulo o le seala ba lebele ke 2015 ba tshaba le yobela ba hama raba Saulo raba
the best
Tshwane FM 93.6.
And one thing I've realized, if a Zulu guy has to explain to you, he will make sure that you understand every line. But Umpedi, he wants you to read between the lines. He doesn't care whether you understand or not. Because if a Zulu guy was beating someone, who's not telling us, yeah, for it. Ngathukuthela ngambamba kanje ngamhlanganisa nodonga ngamshala nje wawela phansi ungamvuza ngamhlanganisa nodonga ungamshaya kanje balamulo makhi kanti ke ngibize ngaye ngashaya but the feeling
So, you know, to
best.
Oh, yes. 51 after the hour, 7 o'clock, and this is exactly where we are at this point in time with Mr. Tony Mampuru. Tony, just give us, because I think people are definitely attracted to numbers. I think there is 3.5, but what also, can you just break that down for us?
Okay, so let's start with the lowest income bracket. So this is gross, your gross income.
Yeah.
So now let's say between 3,501 and 3,700. How much you can qualify for is 121,626 rand. That's how much you can qualify for. 100,000 rand, essentially. Okay. So how I see this is like, I mean, I think Ogareka, you know, those houses workers, those small houses, oh, 120, 150.
Bra, now look a proper, well-developed 4-room along by extending garage.
Exactly.
They go from 100 to even more than that.
Exactly. You know what I see in this? I feel like this sort of information you're giving out today, it's something that a lot of people don't know. Like imagine where I go Kasi door to door and tell them this. How many people will actually have houses?
You know, my biggest hope is that I hope that the people, and I'm hoping that this opportunity will not miss them.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping that the majority of them are actually listening now. But,
Yes,
but furthermore, I think we need to perhaps put this show, do a sort of, you know, conversation, one-on-one level. Here's an opportunity.
Yes, it's a huge opportunity because I mean, I think if we were to look at black families, in most cases where they stay,
Yeah.
Pass it on to owner, pass it on to owner, the children. You know,
Funny enough, it's not even just in black families. I think South African families in the majority.
Yes.
If you look at TV programs, you know, you realize that people are fighting for houses, and it's really that thing. Yeah, people don't have enough funds to can even buy a house, and I wish we could just assist them in this regard.
It's very vital and important information. Because also, not if students were to know about this during varsity,
Sure.
by the time they start working. Because I know, for instance, let's say you're studying your industrial engineering or something into engineering.
Yeah.
You're going to start off as an intern again.
Yeah.
Or whilst you do your P1, P2. More 7,000, 10,000. Imagine that moment for record and you use the subsidy. I mean, this subsidy, it's what? It's Christmas. Government is giving you the Christmas.
Amazing.
So it's something very amazing.
54 after 7 o'clock, and maybe let's go to if now I earn 22,000. How much am I expecting in that regard?
So you remember what I said? The lesser you earn, the more you have.
Exactly.
The more you earn, the lesser you get.
Yes.
So now let me go to the last income bracket, which is from 21,801 to 22,000 rand.
Yeah.
So if you in that income bracket, what you can have it's plus minus 27,960.
Sure.
Yeah.
But now, does this exclude or include your dependents? Is it also dependent on your dependents?
What do you mean?
So, for instance, if you're dependent, how we're now at 3.5, Mara dependent how A1, and then you 21,000, can be 22,000, and dependent 37, can be 8.
Okay, like I said, the dependents, I'm not sure because just based on the website says you should have a dependent.
Okay.
It doesn't specify how many or how complicated it should be. But the main aim as well, or the condition attached to that, is that the household, the gross income combined, shouldn't exceed 22,000 rand.
Interesting.
Yeah.
55 minutes after 7 o'clock, just 5 minutes left before we make way for Pebble City Nets. Any other interesting things that you think the listener must be cognizant of with regards to this process?
If you do decide to sell the property within the first 8 years, you must now pay back the money. So essentially, the title detail. This will also be registered, right? It's like buying an RTP. RTP, I think you can't sell it within the first 5 years.
Is it?
Vacant. Yeah. So same concept anymore. But then in this instance, how it works is that by the first year you pay 90% back.
Yeah.
Second year 80%. Third year 70%. And then obviously 8 years you just pay 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after 8 years you don't need to pay anything.
Interesting. 56 minutes after 7 o'clock. We are wrapping up this one. Your closing remarks?
My closing remarks is that this is an opportunity that everyone should know about.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very important.
Correct.
And everyone shouldn't miss the opportunity of owning land in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's information that is out there. And yes, like I said, guys, if you want more about this information, just go on to this website, www.flisp.co.za.
I think I'm just also making a voice note to the various WhatsApp groups that I have, and I think just outlining this interesting opportunity. The majority of our young people are employed, but they're not being paid enough money. And just a recap on this one, Tshwane, it's 57 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock. If you just jumped in, this is the Capital Talk right here on Tshwane FM. My name is Mokete Radebe. I'm your news pioneer. What we're discussing now in terms of property is that there's actually an opportunity. If you are a South African, who's earning anything between 3,500 and 22,000, you stand an opportunity to receive money from government as a subsidy. This is not fake news. There's actually things that are happening for you to buy a property or a house, so to say, only for residential purposes. Your combined household's income should be just between 3.5 and 22,000. And this it's for people that have not received an RDP before. Government will subsidize. And if you're earning 3.5, I think the figure we said it's about 100,000. 121,000. If you're earning 3.5, you stand to receive 121,000 from government. And of course, if you are at the highest bracket, just receiving around 22,000, so you will be just receiving a subsidy of 27,000. If you are at the last bracket, that is 21,800 all the way to 22,000. So this is a great opportunity for our young South Africans. Make sure that it doesn't miss you. And if you are tuning in now, do make sure that this opportunity goes through all the way to other people that you might know of that are in need of property. 58 minutes have gone since the hour 7 o'clock. Yes, Tony.
One more thing. And then don't forget, it's for first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you don't have a house, this is a brilliant opportunity, or you haven't bought any. Here's another thing. What they're going to do is that once they do the application process, they are going to do various checks.
Yeah.
To see if you perhaps have any property registered under your name, and also to see if you have benefited from any subsidy from the government when it comes to houses.
Yeah, man. So, but what you mentioned as well was what is important is your spouse. So your spouse must not have received anything.
Yeah.
So if you are single, before Kayochola, find out from that person, have you ever received any housing subsidy from government, or did you ever even qualify or get an RDP house from government? Because people hide these things. At the same breath that we're using to get the paternity test, use this one in terms of the housing opportunities as well.
Exactly.
Tony, this is where we leave it. It's 59 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock. And here's a lovely tune. This one it's by none other than Mokete Radebe. It's a song titled Kita Sejara Sefapano. So there's greatness in the saying of Radebe, man. Amazing things. We're back again next week, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Tony's back again next week looking at property. Tomorrow I'm speaking about sport. Do make sure that you join us. We want to talk about Mamelodi Sundowns, man. They've appointed Mr. Steve Kompela as a senior coach. I just want to understand the trio there. And of course, we're celebrating the TUT's director of sport. That is Mr. Shadrack Ntangeni. No more Mr. Shadrack Ntangeni has obtained his PhD. He's now Dr. Shadrack Ntangeni, director Odumo. We'll be speaking to him on the flip side of this. I was listening to Steve Kompela making very, very interesting things. And he said something fundamental in one video I was listening to. He says, I listen to what you're saying, but I also hear what you're not saying. He says, you see, I go deeper than what your lips are saying. I'm interested in your mind. I'm interested in your heart. Because sometimes people say things that they don't necessarily mean, and there's things that they're not saying, and that is very important.
That's true.
And during this, a period of mental wellness month, I think it is very important for us to really look into what people are not telling us, because that's where the problem lies. And this is where we need to take an opportunity to actually help people that are, close to us. And I think that's an important function.
Yes.
This is where we leave it. Thank you so much for your listening pleasure. This one is by Mokete Radebe. Have a lovely evening. Rati. Is she? I don't know. So much is not. Sefapano se Kita Sejara Sefapano se. This lady, I'm on. Yeah, man. Oh,